We would now like to introduce you to the various parasports involved with ParaSport Ontario.
Alpine, #1, baby!
Para-Alpine is governed by the Ontario Disabled Alpine Racing Team. It includes slalom and giant slalom. Both are technical events. However, slalom consists of a high number of gates that athletes must negotiate, whereas giant slalom is a longer course with fewer turns. In both events, any athlete who misses a gate is disqualified. There are 3 categories in para-alpine skiing based on functional ability. They are standing skiing, sitting skiing, and skiing for blind and partially sighted athletes. Skiers with visual impairment are directed through the course by sighted guides using voice signals. Athletes with physical disabilities use equipment that is adapted to their needs, including single skis, sit skis, or any other adapted aids. Para-Nordic is governed by Cross Country Ontario. Athletes compete in a short distance sprint or middle distance race using classical or free techniques. Depending on functional disability, participants may use modified equipment. One example is to use a sit ski called a sledge, which is a specially built chair that can be attached to a pair of skis. Visually impaired athletes compete with sighted guides who use their voice or a radio to guide the athlete through the course. Sledge hockey is governed by the Ontario Sledge Hockey Association. It is played by male and female athletes with a physical disability in the lower part of the body, such as amputation, spina bifida, paraplegia, cerebral palsy, and les autres. The rules of sledge are the same as able-bodied hockey. Players are strapped onto custom-made aluminum frame sledges with 2 blades and a runner. 2 sticks are used. Each stick has a blade for puck control and shooting on one end, and picks for propulsion on the other. With a quick flick of the wrist, players propel themselves using the picks and play the puck using the blades. Games consist of 3 15-minute stop time periods. Wheelchair curling is governed by the Ontario Curling Council. Players require a wheelchair for daily mobility and have a lower body physical disability, which may include a spinal injury, cerebral palsy, multiple sclerosis, or a double leg amputation. Each team is comprised of male and female players. The only modification from the able-bodied game is the removal of sweeping. Wheelchair basketball is governed by the Ontario Wheelchair Sports Association. It is played by male and female athletes who have a physical disability that prevents them from running, jumping, and pivoting. Played in teams of 5, the measurements of the court and the height of the baskets are the same as in the able-bodied game. A classification system is used to account for the functional abilities of each athlete. Each player is assigned a point value from 0.5 to 4.5. The total point value of each team on the court must not exceed 14 at any given time. Wheelchair rugby is governed by the Ontario Wheelchair Sports Association. Developed in Canada during the 1970s, wheelchair rugby is an intense co-ed team sport for athletes with quadriplegia. Athletes attempt to carry the ball over the opponent's goal line. 2 teams of at least 4 players compete for 4 8-minute periods. A classification system is used to account for the functional abilities of each athlete. Every player is placed into one of 7 sport classes, from 0.5, most severely disabled, to 3.5, most functional. The total point value of each team on the court must not exceed 8. Swimming is governed by Swim Ontario. Athletes compete in freestyle, backstroke, butterfly, breaststroke, and medley events. They are classified based on their functional ability to perform each stroke. Swimmers who are visually impaired are required to have an assistant to cue them in the approach to the end wall in a process called tapping. Visually impaired swimmers are required to wear blackened goggles. Swimmers may start their races in various ways: in the water, a dive off the starting platform, or the typical standing start.